I'm Timothy from Chinatown Soup. This is our monthly Chinatown Soup Tea Club.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of this club actually started from you, Ben.
I'm the chaos maker.
You're not the chaos maker. You are, we call the connectors.
Connector.
Connectors of individual human spirit. Thank you for doing this. This is so grateful for you to do this for us. I'm too old to do this, so I need someone like you, young and ambitious, to do all this kind of thing. So if you know our tea club, and if you not, please join us. You can find our information on whatever.
The link below. Yeah. We'll get a link up.
Tea Club is a monthly subscription that each month we emphasize on the very specific tea, and the tea usually came from my journey since 2001 of searching for tea that actually resonate with me. And that's the main videos, and we will have another videos that basically talk about techniques. Kung Fu techniques is more about how you can brew tea instead of just the tea itself. And then on top of that, the extra is what happening right now, non-scripted. We are doing this, just because the most important thing about drinking tea with a friend is the flow. The flow came with the tea practice and the tea gathering. And I think that's the essence, really, about the tea group or we call a tea gathering. So in this videos, we just gonna talk about the idea of what this community is, your life, my life, how it works together, and the merging is basically drinking a cup of tea. You can see the way I'm gonna brew tea on this kind of sessions a little bit different than the fundamental. This is a little bit more personal in a sense to have the tea. And again, this video is not about the tea, and we will come to the tea, but through drinking it, we will start our conversations on it. So this is a very small little Yixing teapot. And Yixing teapot is how I really started the journey of tea, because I collect teapots first. And I collect so much of it, and I never have good tea. And finally, I put my act together and started looking for good tea. And that's where the journey started. And this journey brought in a lot of good friends, that a lot of friends became lifelong friends. Even though we're not on the same continents, we're still very connected. The connectivity is what we're really talking about here with tea. And also this tea and this practice brought Ben over to Chinatown Soup through our mutual friends,
Christine Wong.
which is also
Thank you, Christine.
a very important person in the Asian community that focus on we'll say environmental practice, vegans, cooking, healthy lifestyle, and all of that.
I'm seeing her tomorrow night.
Say hi for me, please.
I will.
So,
Have to send her this video when it comes out. Be like, hey, Christine, you get a shout out. She's an author, a vegan chef. She's got multiple books online. Her name's Christine Wong, and she's awesome.
great human being.
Yeah.
So if you have a chance, please subscribe to her book or her journey in a way, right? So when did you come to New York?
Yeah, so I decided maybe 2.5 years ago that I should probably be finding myself in New York. And the initial relationship with New York was a very light-hearted dating. And so I would,
Dating.
well, I was dating the city.
Oh,
So I would come to New York City and stay in a friend's house and then extend my trip a little bit to see if I liked it. I would go to different neighborhoods, different people's houses, test it out, and say, is New York the right vibe? Just being really delicate about it. And about a year and a half ago, a room opened up in this place called Lightning Society, which is
Wow.
a 17-person co-living house
Whoa.
in Bushwick.
Adult dormitory.
Yeah, not dormitory. We all have our own rooms, and a room opened up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think this is the sign." So a year and a half ago in December, I signed a lease, and since then I've been like, "I need friends."
Welcome to New
And here
York.
we are.
Welcome to Chinatown Soup and become friends.
Yeah.
Well, our first little sip before we go further into it, we need
Thank
to
you.
have the medicine in us on that. So, well, you know how to drink tea. We're not supposed to chug this because it's too hard to chug anyway. But you just let that goes in down to your throat. Take a deep breath in your mouth. Let that comes to you and feel it. We don't need to judge it. We don't need to just let the tea works for itself. Because we're talking, we dried up, and this is moisturizing. It's almost like dating the tea now for you.
Now we're dating tea. That's exactly what's going on.
We don't need to know. We're gonna know while we're drinking it. So that's something that is what is important. So how long are you gonna dedicate it in this experiment of the dating of Manhattan or New York City?
Well, I've given it. I'm gonna give 3 years to New York and see
Okay.
if I can find my place. So now it's been about a year and a half. I feel like I'm finally feeling a little bit of sense of connection. I have my little routines, the different people that I meet along the way. I travel a lot, so right now at this point, it's like every 2 weeks I'm moving around. But every time I'm back in town, I'll take time to bring some interesting people to Timothy. Timothy keeps saying like, "Oh, Ben, just bring yourself," and I'm like, "No, no, no. I want you to meet interesting people along the way." So I keep thinking of like people that would enjoy and appreciate tea. I bring them here for this like exclusive tea tasting, and I say like, "Hey guys, do you want to go have tea in a tea speakeasy, which is behind a gallery inside of a thrift store?" And it's like this tiny little intimate experience with 4 people. It's supposed to last an hour. It never lasts an hour. It's more like 3. And everyone's always so down for it. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm just happy for you to come here.
I know, I know.
We built this community already. It doesn't need to bring. If it's,
No,
you bring is,
everyone needs to
very
get into
grateful.
growth. Needs to like
But bring
experience
yourself and
this.
having these conversations means a lot to me already.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
second cups.
Thank you. No, I love it.
So let's feel that the heat that is traveling to you. Let's feel is it giving you cooling sensations or hot sensations. Sometimes you can feel the head area getting cooling sensations and your body start to heat up. So all these kind of things is a conversations, it's a dating that the tea is talking to you and you are actually communicating with it. The communication part is a very essentials to kind of like the relationship between human and the tea does make bigger into a community. And you and I are feeling similar to what the tea is generating to us. And there's a conversations to it. And that's a community in a sense. 3 of us right now, me, you, and the tea, is having a communion in a way of that. And that's, I think, the most important part of your thought of creating a community in Chinatown Soup is to share this joy. Usually it's very joyful. Sometimes it could be heavy, but there's no fear. We shouldn't be fear about whatever the tea is bringing us. Whatever the tea is bringing to us, the feeling of it, usually we already know, but we are suppressing it. And then when it brings up to it, you acknowledge it. It's very similar to meditations. I'm not very familiar with the true, there's no true meditations way, but the traditional meditation way. Feeling or thought arrive, acknowledge it, understand it, and let it go, and then keep going, and keep going, and then to the point that there's no more noises from your head. You're feeling it from the heart. I think that's the most important thing of the communications. And for me, why am I so addicted to tea is because Camilla sinensis, besides as a medicine, I also call it a true serum.
Mm.
When you have 3 cups of this, you can't really lie to yourself anymore because it reflects everything that you talk about. So when you're having this, you really cannot lie to yourself. Thus, you cannot really lie to other people. And whatever our conversation becomes a very truthful. There's no filter. There is no agenda per se. It's very truth. It's very pure. And if we can start every community to be like that, pure, truthful, honest, and no ego driven onto it, I think the world will be very quickly changed to something that we're not living in right now. Right? And I think that's the goal of why we're spreading all this thing about the positivities, watching how we are impacting the nature, the whole ecosystems, everything is related. Fundamentally, the problems are so big that sometimes we can't acknowledge it. But if we go into the micro and macro level of it and just being truthful to a medicine that was given by nature and drinking with friends, I think that could solve a lot of little problems. And, as a Chinese, theory is always focus on the details, then the whole picture could change. Rather than change the whole picture and all the details is everywhere, right? So I think that's what a good community should be to me. I know that is a high bar to set. That's why we want to do small groups, but also people are on the other side of the screen. You are isolated, but you are not. But you can also practice it by yourself on the other side of the screen. And that would be also something that I would like to do because then you are not bombarded with other stuff in a sense. And that's a very clean community, I think. What do you think?
Timothy the philosopher.
I'm not the philosopher. I don't even speak English, so I don't know what I'm flipping it out. But
It's so fun. Like, I think for me, like tea, I mean, everything you're saying, there's like, I feel like tea is this interesting balance of like the esoteric and the really practical, right? And so I feel like your practice and you're coming from like a deep mysticism and reverence for the tea, treating it as medicine with like an entire lineage that you've studied for the last couple decades. I'm just kind of like, I kind of float in and I was just drawn to tea for a couple reasons. One, it has like a connection to culture that I have never had. I've spent a lot of time running away from being Asian.
you do?
What?
Growing up.
There'd be all these, no, but seriously, there'd be these like Asian clubs in university. And where
Asian
all the Asian
clubs?
clubs, yeah, and they would do Asian things together. And I was like, this is
Asian dating club?
I'm like, I just see myself as a human, like an average human. I don't identify as like a pure Asian human, can only hang out with Asians. Like,
Right.
I'm just like, I mix through the world, I dance through the world. And so there was an opportunity to connect with like a lineage in a way that I had never really done before. But then I think the actual experience of the tea itself, there's like a couple of factors to it. Like one was the connection to the plant. You're taking something that has been like dried up and preserved. It's like all shriveled up and dehydrated, and you're like infusing it with heat, and you're bringing it back to life. And
Love.
this plant has story,
Love.
pouring love into it with love. But this plant also has like a whole story behind it, right? The environment in which it grew, the way it was cultivated, the intention that was brewed into it. And there is truly, I think, as I've started drinking more and more tea, is something that you can kind of glimpse at, you can kind of taste a little bit as you slow down enough to like take a sip of this thing. And then even if you don't believe in any of that, and you just sit and sample the tea and take a moment out of your day, put your devices away, sit down with a friend for like an hour and sip this and try to see how something like this affects your taste buds, your body, your
Whole
throat,
body.
your neck. It's essentially a meditation, right? And so like I just think there's so many benefits to the relationship to the tea, but then also the way that tea then flows and helps to stitch people together, because now you're sitting together in community with other humans who are also opting in to slow down. And in a world where it's all just like speed up, do more, get out there, be distracted, this is like a really beautiful counterbalance to it all.
It's interesting that you're saying that you disconnected in an early age about
Asianness.
who your roots are,
Yeah.
and you get drawn into the lineage back because we get older, we are now open up our eyes to accept who we are. lineage is a very important word for me because lineage came with experience, with ancestries. If a lineage is not strong enough and the theory behind it is not strong enough, it will not hold because it's a deck of cards. It will just crumble because there's nothing to sustain. The practice of tea, which on paper is already 2,000 years, is from the Han Dynasty. But then when we talk about the way I'm making this tea is called Kung Fu style tea. This practice came from Chuzhou.
Yeah, which is my lineage. There's my peoples.
I'm saying that.
I know that. I know that. I saw the YouTube videos.
The Kung Fu practice are fundamentally Taoist. It have to do with the I Ching, the Taoist, the Bagua, have to do with all celestials, earth to human to the spirit. Everything we're doing here resemble the cycle of nature and life. By the flow of the tea, the juice of the tea, the person that's sitting next to me, drinking it as timing wise, everything have a reason to it. That lineage excite me because when we look at this teapot and I pour tea in it and then I pour it out, that doesn't mean that it stopped brewing. It's still brewing in there.
Because of the heat.
We have to keep our mind in this little bagua in here that is all moving. The day, the time, everything is
Can
all
you explain the
connected.
bakwa?
The bagua is basically
It's
bagua
aged tea ground, right? But
is
what does
right,
it symbolize?
but then it's all symbolized all the five elements in it with also celestials, placing stars. What are we drinking right now? We are in the mid of spring, which is almost the ending of the height of the harvesting season.
Chinese astrology, basically.
It's all astrologies.
Yeah.
Everything is related on that.
Yeah.
When the harvest ends, that means that you need to give time for the leaf to recuperate. So in May, may have another harvest of it, right? So right now, when we're drinking this particular tea, which is a raw pour, have life in it. This was also harvested in the spring, back in 2008. But then we're drinking it now at this point. We're almost drinking it when the time that it was plucked, processed. So there's a DNA in the tea that they are actually, oh, I smell spring again. I'm reviving myself, and we're drinking it. So we're drinking in a point that is fresh, even though it's been aged.
Yeah.
The spirit of it is fresh of it. So that kind of new growth or regrowth or rebirth makes a lot of difference in our body when we're drinking it. There's a renewal of things. As you said that you don't want that lineage to know the knowledge of that lineage, but now you do. You are recreating that birth. It's coming out, it's sprouting again.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're drinking this, it make you have a deeper understanding of everything here. Kind of makes sense to what and where your journey is bringing you, right? To have a roots from Chuzhou, to have a roots of kind of a community, and to have a root of a plant medicines that all kind of enclose into this thing.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
it's like a really good trifecta. I think it makes
The
sense.
three, right?
Yeah.
So when you were talking about the bagua and all that, it's all about balancing. If there's too much fire, I have to put some other elements to it. If there's too much air, I have to put something else into it. If there's too much wood, and also there's a deeper meaning to it. What kind of wood it is? Is it a firewood? Is it an air wood? Is it a water wood? So all these elements have a lot of things to do with the practice of Kung Fu tea. And of course, I'm not near an expert on that thing. What I learned mostly from it came from just making it. You have a clay, that's earth. right? You have water,
Mm-hmm.
you have boiling fire,
Mm-hmm.
you have the air that flows into it,
Yeah,
you
when we
have the
drink it.
spirit of me doing it, and you have the what we call metal or whatsoever that is existing also in this clay. So all the elements is always there. We just need to recognize it. And
That's
isn't
smart.
that great if if this is a community now we have three more people and each one have their own set of elements
Yeah.
and it affects differently to each person. But on the same plane though, we're feeling the same thing. They might feel more on the fire side, or they might feel more on the mineral side or the earth side. So I'm not trying to complicate this, but this is the lineage, what I'm calling, meaning that there's so much depth into it. It's
Mm.
so deep that everything that if we kind of questions in this term of how cool I'm letting this tea grow now before I drink it, the cooling of it adds something into it.
Mm.
You drink it, you feel different than you just slurp the hot one
Mm-hmm.
inside. So there's a lot to feel about it and talk about it. And from there, it creates an emotional feedback on it. It's like, okay, you are creating a community to bring you back closer to your roots. And then here you go, you find your roots in here. Now you want to share that roots.
Mm.
But within that, you might inspire so and so or people behind the screen.
Who
That
knows?
right, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of the
Yeah.
community, right? How do you feel?
Physically
Yeah,
from the tea?
right.
I mean, I
You like it?
feel. Yeah, no, the tea's great.
Why do
Tea's
you
very
like it?
lovely.
Is it
Um,
clean? Is it warming? Is it easy to drink? It make you moisturize. Your throat doesn't hurt because we're talking here.
yeah, I
Is
mean,
it
I think I feel warm. I have sort of like slight sense of like
sweating?
sweat kind of in the back of my neck.
Right.
As usual, like, we're present. Although I feel the presence of a camera, honestly. Like I
Okay.
feel the camera watching us as in like another participant. But like broadly still, like there's no screens, there's no devices, and so like we are engaged in this conversation, but there is this awareness of the fact that this is not a private conversation, that has a little bit of like a background track also going.
Hmm.
Um,
Does
but
it bother you?
it doesn't, it's not a bothering thing. It's sort of like when it's like, what's that science experiment where the particle behaves differently if someone's observing
Well,
it?
they're conscious.
Yeah. At
Oh,
least
we can call it
some
conscious.
some form of, yeah, consciousness. It's like the the observer effect, right? Like when something is being observed, it
They,
is
they, they
fundamentally
don't.
different.
Yeah, they behave like what you
Yeah.
want them to behave.
And I think
Right.
there is very much that because there's a little like track of conversations like, oh, like you're saying something, I'm saying something. That's cool. I understand what, or I have an understanding of what I think you're trying to say, but then other people may have a completely different understanding. And so there's this translation that's constantly going on in the back of my head. And I think it's just because I have created a lot of content for the internet. And when I create content, I'm usually thinking not just about what I want to say, but how is it going to be received. And so that's like a background track that is ongoing. Like even if I'm trying to be very present here, I still sense it. It's like, oh, it's
But that's a constant change, right? Someone might revisit these videos in a different time, and then the message could be completely different. And then after they learn what that effects is, and then they have it to watch that same video again, and it completely changed the whole understanding of our conversation right now. So it's a constant flow of change, and that's really what the Taoism said.
yeah.
It's a constant changes. There is no stagnant, because if there is anything that stays, it's not moving, then it's not a good thing per se,
It's
right?
kind of interesting how something that is unchanging, right? This piece of content that you put up on the internet, it's not changing, it's the same thing. But depending on who's receiving it, they're changing it, right? Like so it's always a dance. Like I think a lot about relationships in the world. And this is like people's relationship to content, people's relationship to story, the reflections that are constantly bouncing off from different interactions. Like we're ultimately no one is experiencing the truth a single moment.
Or all of it is true.
Yes. Or all of it is real. We're all experiencing a version of the truth. So everyone, all of us are living in a different world, right? Like what you're experiencing now is different than what I'm experiencing, even if we're here in the same place with the same tea, with the same
That's getting
virtual.
trippy, my
It's
friend.
kind of wild, huh? But having the tea as like a conduit. So like the tea is what is gathering us here today for us to have an opportunity to sit together. The tea is the reason for maybe creating a moment here that someone might be sitting up until this point, right? Like I feel like what I enjoy about the tea is that it gives us a common opportunity to sit and be present together and to listen to what emerges. And for you, your connection to tea is very deep, and so it when you speak about it, it's almost as if you're having a conversation with the tea. When I'm sitting with it, it's almost like I'm more having a conversation with myself. That the tea is giving me the opportunity or the excuse to like sit and be like, oh, what am I feeling? And that's something that I don't do very often. I don't know. I think most of us don't just sit and be like, oh, what's my body doing today? And how am I feeling in this moment? And
Maybe not now. I mean, now is the beginning of that.
for sure.
I
Now,
think,
because of tea, I've done it so much more.
yeah, I think my experience with plant medicines back in the days, when the first time I ever had a plant medicine, and of course you're freaking out. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm never gonna die. And the person next to me just looked at me and said, "Hey, you're always here,
Hmm.
so don't worry about it.
Right.
If you are traveling or you're gone or whatever, if you are connected, still connected to your mind and your soul, you just remind it. It's like, oh, we are still here. We are
Yeah.
born materialistic as a material being. There is a certain elements that we're here,
Uh-huh.
and this is reality. This is our reality. This will never change. We're here. We're not. We enlightened rainbow body gone. Zoom out. Jesus Christ, left and come back.
Yeah.
That's not what it will be. Like
Mm.
Buddha did not get enlightened and disappear,
Mm-hmm.
and then reappear and disappear. Like he would not play that trick because he
Right.
understands that he's also in this plane. So we will never be not here, right? Physically.
Yeah.
And the great thing about having tea together is this also remind me every time when I drink this, when I do this, and I share this cup to you, when we drink this, we have to be here to drink this cup.
We do. I had to come here to hang out with
We,
you.
we have to be here. So the physical is always here.
Yeah.
The spirit, the mental could be always changing. It doesn't matter. It's like we all running around with dream stage and all that kind of thing. We can escalate that idea, but the fundamental, the truthful, and the moment of being in community together right now is we are here sharing this experience. And this experience evolved the tea to bring us into a different dialect or dig it deeper into something that we will not usually talk about. Like, when is the last time you talk about the string theory of atom splitting when you were paying
Is
attention
it a
to
particle or is it a wave?
yeah, whatever. Like it's a particle, right? It's
both.
it's a
It's
wave
both.
plane. It's a wave.
It's a wave, a
everything is
particle
a
that
frequency.
behaves like a wave. Yeah.
Right. Everything is a frequency on that. So I think it's that grounding process of the tea. And when you said that you are discovering things from something that re-inspire you, the story of me, my relationship to the tea is very, very simple. I had a moment that I sit down and realize the tea is always there.
Yeah.
Maybe not this pot of tea, still tea.
Uh-huh.
That tree produced some leaf that was processed and was waiting for me to consume it, but it's always there.
Hmm.
And I was so blind to not recognize it. It's almost like you are here, and I'm so blind that I didn't talk to you about a directions or an idea.
Hmm.
We always have all the elements that help us individually grow. we never, sometimes, we never really actually utilize it and wasted that time that we can learn more from it or have a healing from it. We miss that chance mostly because we are not really connecting to that moment. And we lost that moment. A lot of times, right? As you said, you just came back from DC and you have a spark with this girl that you actually make a conversation. Now you become friends. Most of the time, you don't have those proper
Right,
conversations. You lost that chance.
right.
How many people you brush shoulder with today,
For sure.
right?
For sure.
But of course, not everybody you like go and say, hey, let's be friends. That's creepy in a way. But
Yeah.
but
No, I mean, I think that's a good point. I mean, I've had tea for most of my life, but I never had this relationship to tea. I've never sat down to listen to it. And yet it's been like, I'm Asian, my mom makes tea all the time, but we never like sat and did any of this. Like this was not part of our upbringing. And so I was never able to do that. And I think to your point about devices, which I think is kind of interesting, an interesting parallel because I'm 38 years old. And so I'm in the generation.
baby,
Yeah. But I'm in
young.
the very interesting generation where my childhood, I experienced both no devices and devices.
Right.
And so there was a period in time where like we didn't have phones, and so
Of course.
all we did was
Rotary
connecting.
phone. Do you remember? Or
Yeah, I
you're too
remember
young
rotary
to-
phones.
yeah.
No, we had a
Right,
rotary
right,
phone.
right,
We had a rotary phone.
You know.
And then suddenly we had these devices, and we could text, we could coordinate, and like I experienced that pull and that distancing, and how that changed our relationships. And so, yeah, I was just at this conference with Esther Perel, and she was talking about how disconnected we have been becoming because of these devices that are constantly pulling our attention away from the present. And actually, the reason I made friends with this random girl who I was basically
Your
stuck.
phone there?
No, I was stuck on an airplane. Our flight got delayed, and together we ended up our flight got delayed and then subsequently canceled. And then we booked a train and had to catch that train. And then the train broke down, and then we got back to New York. But we did that whole thing together. And so I like to say that, hey, at the end of the day, I left that interaction with a new friend. And so it's the best possible ending to an inconvenient subset of events, all because I had just gone to this workshop and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like not be on my phone and I'm just gonna like sit in this moment and just explore this discomfort. And tea was a solid hour and a half of our conversation on the train on the way back, where she was just like, I've been really wanting to get more into tea. Tell me a little bit more about your journey. So tea is really wonderful. And I think there's just people that are just craving an excuse to be present. And if tea can be that excuse for some, or a gateway, and whether that gateway is the caffeine, whether it's the history, whether it's a story, whether it's a culture, whether it's the mysticism, I think like whatever gateway kind of works, it can all have the same benefit if you have that intention. Like,
I think the message from tea as a medicine is very simple, right? To harmonize your life, to harmonize your body, to create a ritual or practice that when you practice this making of, then you're in a better position in your head and in your body. But I think the more beautiful side of it is just a conduit. The tea is just a glimpse of how we can see other things and apply the same love, practice,
Yeah.
and joy and sharing to other things like photography, like performing arts, like cooking a shepherd pie to making a sourdough. Those are all practice that have the same quality of practicing tea. And I think we are lucky in this present moment that since tea was the second most drank beverage in the world besides water, a lot of people are already practicing it because there's a lineage to it. Again, and we use this lineage in a good way. A lot of times we use this lineage in a very, very bad way. Like tobacco is a sacred plant, turned into cigarettes that kills millions of people. Sugar from sugar cane was the medicine. And now it becomes high
fructose corn syrup, yeah.
that kills also millions, right? So when we go back into those history and lineage, I think tea was the one that was pretty much saved.
Yeah,
Opium.
not necessarily. I mean, now they have all these like unorganic practices. So you grind it up, put it in a tea bag filled with plastics,
Yeah,
plastic tea bags that you then like
and
put in and releases microplastics. And
I
it's
know,
like
but at least people are still drinking
they're
tea,
still drinking it.
right?
Yeah,
They will
and drinking
find out.
plastics.
They will find out eventually they're not going to drink that.
I know, I know.
But there is a way, a crack to go into it.
Mm.
So a lot of times when people come over here and they sit and I make tea for them, and then when they got it and bring it home and they don't make it the same, sometimes they call me and say, Tim, did you give me the wrong bag of tea? And it's like, well, no, it's okay. It's almost like you go into the supermarket or you go into the farmer's market. We buy the same ingredients, and we went home and cook it, and
Doesn't taste like the restaurant.
one that make up tastes like a 3-star restaurant, and mine tastes like I don't know what. So, but it's not about that. It's about understanding we can go there. It's okay to start anywhere, but as long as you start.
Yeah, which is where I'm at. I like
Same,
slowly
same as a
gathering.
community, right?
Yeah.
Same as the idea of what Michelle was saying as soup. I believe if I build a place, people will come,
Yeah.
right? And if we have even a better idea of it, if we have good intentions, good intent people will come.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
Right?
mean, I feel like most of the people that I've met through tea are all good people precisely because tea is generally about folks who are open to coming in, slowing down, and curious. Actually, I have another tea story. Yesterday, this lady that I've never met before came over to my place.
So many ladies.
She's taken. Both the last lady, she's married. She was like pumping. She had babies. It's not about the romance, although it could be nice.
It's a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay.
the last lady that came over was also in a relationship. But she saw a post that I had made on Instagram of my tea platform, and she
Oh.
said, "Oh, cool platform. How do we get an invitation?" I said, "Oh, come over." Same thing. If you build it, they will come. And I was like, "Oh, like what drew you to this place?" Because she didn't know anything about me. Didn't know what I did, who I was, anything. She
You're
just,
charming enough.
but she didn't even know that.
Okay.
Because all she had was my Instagram, which doesn't even have videos. It's just photos.
Oh.
She didn't know anything about me, didn't even know what my voice sounded like, and she just decided to come over because she's like, I have been looking for people to sit and have tea with because I live in a really small apartment and I've been really just haven't like found a proper space to do it in, and I just was just looking for companionship to sit and have tea with, and I was like, great,
That's
Jasper.
beautiful.
Yeah, so it was about the tea. It wasn't even about me.
That's amazing.
I just facilitated it.
So amazing. Like, if
Yeah.
you go back to the lineage of tea, it's almost like, I would say, tea in China, or before there is China, when you have tea with people you disarm, you are offering someone without being offensive. You're inviting someone to your home.
Yeah.
There's a trust when you offer tea. Almost like offering peace.
Yeah. And you're serving them.
Yeah, and
It's an invitation.
same as tobacco, right? In the olden times, that's called peace pipe,
Mm-hmm.
right? You offer the smoke. That means that I'm not going to shoot you in the back or
Right.
stab you in the front, whatever. There is an offering
Mm.
that is very substantial of this is peace.
Mm.
If I break it, I'm going to take all the karma on it too, right? So I think it's interesting because we've been doing that for thousands of years. And this tradition do not have a cultural boundaries,
Mm.
or maybe, with the British took over or whatever, but it doesn't matter. That's just history. And now everybody kind of used this to become a gathering place that their first agenda is, I want more pieces in my life or in my head.
Mm.
I want more health in my body. And if I can do that too, my spirit will be much more in harmony.
Mm.
And I make new friends
Mhm.
that is
Yeah.
alike, right? So I think that's amazing thing that is cross the culture of the boundaries already. is not very particular. It's almost like it's not going to a Japanese tea ceremony. That you have to be very Japanese and you have to bow the right way and
And you're not talking.
and you have
Be
to
silent.
you have to
Kneel.
kneel in a certain way that your leg will be gone in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think that's a wonderful thing, and I think it's the time. The time is now
The time is now to gather people.
to gather on that. So
Absolutely.
in that note, what is this is not. I'm not trying to do a trick questions on it, but it's like, what will this tea community? How do you want this tea community to grow, and what is like the real main ideal of it? Does it want to spread out? Because
Yeah.
I see there's a lot of tea community out there, but they don't call it tea community because they're not as organized as you do.
No,
That
I
help
mean,
us do all this.
I don't know.
Is that a little pockets of ideas? Eventually, all the pockets became one, and we have a collective consciousness of all of these together. How would you see us in a year? Because we have 3 years for you. So I'm like really worried because Ben will disappear and then we're all gonna cry. It's like, where's Ben now? I don't want to tea with him. How do you project this in a sense? It's
know-
gonna be fun because 3 years from now, when we
Yeah.
look back to this video, we'll be laughing our ass like, Ben, you still here? Oh my God, you have a kid?
you never know.
All right, what is going on? Okay.
No, I mean, I think it's so funny. So when Timothy and I met here at Chinatown Soup, I was just really excited to find someone who has been practicing tea for a very long time, who had a lot of knowledge. And so, like, for me, I was like, I'm not bringing anything into this equation. Like, I am just here discovering someone who has deep knowledge, so many things to sample, who's been doing it for decades, and now I can bring friends here and they can also learn about it. And so like it really just came from a place of like, oh, I've found something really, really amazing. And I feel like more people should be able to participate in it and to grow together. And it's much more interesting learning in community than it is learning alone. So I can sit and watch YouTube videos alone at home. That's one experience. Or I can come here, have a conversation. We can like poke, like I ordered some tea online. I brought it over to Timothy and I'm like, hey, Timothy, I don't know if I'm brewing this wrong or whatever, but it doesn't quite taste like what I feel like it should taste. Because when I'm drinking it, it doesn't feel.
Because you're drinking it alone.
No, it just didn't. It didn't taste right. Okay. And so I brought it over, and Timothy's like, all right, I don't think this is what it says it is, but I have the real thing here, and why don't you taste what taste and compare? And then we had a bunch of friends kind of go through that experience together, and it's like it's so much more fun to do this in community. And so for me, I love the in-person piece of it. Like I really love being able to come here and to share space and to be present and to be off my devices. And I also think that like making sure that other people can join on the journey who maybe aren't always physically here, like me, I travel a lot. And so being able to kind of spread that joy and culture in some ways that are sometimes intangible. I mean, but that's kind of what it means to be an artist, right? You create something,
Absolutely.
put it out into the world,
That's the moment.
and you allow it to do whatever it's going
Right.
to do.
If you see the Kim, the Kiss now, you still resonate with it, which is done in 1920s.
Yeah.
The world was very different back then. It's still a Kiss, so it's always amazing to have that, and I'm really
Yeah.
grateful that we put this on tape. This
For sure.
moment I will treasure for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And we'll make fun of it, of course. And our friends on the other side will say, yeah, look at them, like 5 years ago. They're like that. I don't even know what they're talking about, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
So-
But this is the fun thing is that I mean, I know that there's like an economic play where you like this need in like I don't want you to end up I don't want this place to disappear, right? That's what success would look like, is that this has the ability to continue onwards and expand and to grow and to thrive, right? Like that's what success looks like. And whatever form that takes, whether that's the tea club becoming something else, or other people discovering it, or maybe you start selling tiny teapots and that's the pathway towards like sustainability or connecting with people. Like I don't know what the pathway is, and I almost don't think it matters, as long as we're still here in a couple years having tea and having more people want to come have tea together, connecting deeper and fostering a sense of hope and possibility about the future. and each other. I think like that's really
That's a
the
very
crux of it.
genuine way
Yeah.
to seeing it. And then this is such a, you're such a good, cool dude.
I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude.
I hardly say that because there's not a lot of people that is as genuine as you,
Yeah.
and also passionate about what you like to do, and you go head first into it.
Why not?
And
I
exactly,
only have one life.
it's brave, right?
Yeah.
It's such a brave thing to do. I think it doesn't really matter. It's a trick questions in a sense because we put this on tape.
Yeah. So now we're accountable.
We're forever eternally be part of
Immortalized.
that,
Yeah.
right? And when you join us, when you have tea using these videos or whatsoever, you still feel the joy no matter what time frames you're in and what future you're in. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we are drinking a style of tea that is from a Tang Dynasty poetry. That's 2,000 years ago, and we're still doing it. We're living it. It's almost like listening to Beethoven.
Tasting Beethoven.
His soul exists again, right? So thank you.
Yeah. Hope
Thank
you guys
you.
join us for tea. There's the Chinatown Soup Tea Club. You just Google it. You'll find the link. You can join us. Doesn't matter what point in time you see this. Come hang out, grab some tea,
Thank you.
and invite your friends along for the journey because it's so much better with friends. And you
Thank
never know who you're going to meet along the way.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good? All right.